Buzzards got to eat, same as worms. Our warm weather plants are about to leave. We've had a lot of cool weather here last week or so. It's dipped down even to the 40s a few times. Our plants right now, they're doing well, but we're gonna have some that's starting to fade out. That's all right. It's okay for them to do that because that's what they're supposed to do, because they're warm weather plants. However, that doesn't mean we gotta stop gardening. We don't have to just put up the garden for the winter, especially here in South Mississippi, because our winters are rather mild. Very doubtful that the ground will actually freeze, unless we have a winter like last winter and then it just kills everything. You still gotta supply the soil with something to eat on. Even though the micro little life up under the soil, they're not gonna go completely dormant, at least here. They've gotta have something to eat on. They've got to have something to survive the winter. And we want to provide that for them. The worms, the outlaw Josie Wells knew it, didn't he? You got to feed the worms. So the worms need something to eat through the winter. We're going to provide them with compost. We're going to provide them with cover. We're going to provide them cover crops. We're going to try and provide them as much as we can so that they'll survive, so that they'll have something to eat on, so that they'll continue to nourish our soil. The last few months, when we tried to start changing our garden up, started thinking differently, started considering the way that we were doing and how we were growing our garden, I've learned some things. We understand that the life that's underneath the soil is what helps these plants. And the plants above the soil is what helps the life below the soil. So we see that circular, rotational, symbiotic, or whatever they call it, a relationship that they have. And the more that we try and nourish it, the more that we try and help it out, the better our plants will be, the better our harvest will be. And just in the little short time that I've been doing this, I've seen a vast difference. I've seen a greater yield in the plants that we've been planting. And it might be the fact that it's cooled off a little bit. We've endured the 100-degree weather that we were having weeks on end. And I understand that plays a part in it. But I tell you what, when you get everything just right, you have the soil, the temperature, the moisture, you get all that right, and your plants are going to thrive. So what we do is we cover the ground. We either cover it with crops. To me, seems like the ideal thing to do. We've got mustard greens, going to have them planted, and they'll survive pretty much the entire winter. We're going to have hopefully rutabagas and lettuce and carrots and turnips and mustards. Just have just a little bit of all the things that are cold weather. In our climate, they'll survive. And we'll have them to eat on all winter. And some of it we'll use to feed the animals, the rabbits and the chickens. So we don't have to let our ground rest. We don't have to let our soil rest. What I want to do, we're going to cover it with leaves. We're going to cover it with compost. We're going to cover it with straw. We're going to cover it with wood chips. Just the different sections of our garden, we're going to try and cover it with these things. See what does good. See what is better for the plants. Maybe we can determine what's the best. But more so, we're just going to use what we have and the amount that we have. We're not going to go out and try and purchase a lot of stuff. We're just going to do with what we have. So we're not going to put our garden up to rest for the winter. We're going to feed it. We're going to feed our soil. The soil has got all those nutrients and micronutrients in it that all the worms and all the bugs and all the life, the bacteria, the fungi, they reach down there and they grab the nutrients out of all that soil. They grab the nutrients out of all the compost, all the rabbit manure and chicken manure. They're grabbing all that to survive on. That's what I want to do for my soil. I want to provide it with the nutrients that it can take out of the compost, out of the soil, out of whatever. I want to provide it all that I can so that it'd be healthy, so to survive throughout the winter. When spring comes, when I grow the majority of my garden, I have a good soil, good foundation for the seeds to come up and grow and the plants to grow to give us a better yield, hopefully, than we ever had before. So feed your worms, like Josie Wells said. They need to eat. and feed all the other microbes and microorganisms and everything that's in your soil, so your garden will be happy. God bless. We'll see y'all next week.